Fisher Kelan was a legend whispered on the salty lips of Stormhaven, his weathered hands, etched with the map of countless voyages, wielded the Trident of Aegir, 3 perfectly balanced prongs of storm-gray ironwood. Passed down through generations, it wasn't just a tool. It was the soul of his lineage, a symbol of unwavering strength against the tempestuous sea. Kelan's connection to it was profound, a silent conversation between man and wood forged over decades. He could feel the subtle shift of currents through its grain, anticipate the sea's moods in its smooth heft. It guided his nets true, steadied his skiff through towering swells, and was the unbroken anchor of his existence in the small, wave-lashed village clinging to the rugged coast. To hold the Trident was to hold the trust of his ancestors and the respect of every soul in Stormhaven. One furious night, the sea god Aegir himself seemed to rage against the cliffs. Kelan, driven by a desperate need to secure his moored boat, battled the gale on the treacherous jetty. Rain lashed like needles, waves exploded against stone, and the wind screamed with a voice that chilled the bone. He planted the Trident firmly, leaning his full weight against its trusted strength as a monstrous wave, blacker than midnight, surged over the rocks. The impact was a physical blow, a sound, sharp and final as a breaking heart, cut through the storm's roar. The central prong of the Trident snapped clean off near its base. Kelan stared, numb with disbelief, at the jagged stump in his hand, the splintered wood stark white against the weathered gray. The wave receded, leaving him soaked, battered, and utterly broken, clutching the fractured symbol of his life on the slick, dark stones. The broken Trident became a mirror reflecting Kelan's shattered spirit. He retreated into the shadowed corners of his cottage overlooking the restless sea, the once proud weapon now propped in a dusty corner, its broken point a constant, accusing wound. The rhythmic crash of waves, once a comforting lullaby, now echoed the emptiness within him. He stopped mending his nets. The intricate knots felt meaningless. He ignored the calls of fellow fishermen, their camaraderie a painful reminder of what he felt he'd lost. Not just the tool, but his purpose, his identity. The vibrant blue of the sea seemed muted. The cries of gulls sounded mournful. Stormhaven felt the absence of its stalwart sun, a quiet gloom settling where Kelan's steadfast presence had once anchored the community. Hope arrived unexpectedly, not with fanfare, but with the persistent, gentle knocking of small fists. Lyra, a wide-eyed girl of 7 with hair the color of sun-bleached seaweed and eyes reflecting the ocean's depths, appeared at his door unafraid of his gruff silence and drawn curtains. She returned day after day. She didn't ask about the broken Trident gathering dust. Instead, she chattered about tide pools brimming with starfish, about the funny way crabs scuttled sideways, about needing help untangling her little brother's hopelessly knotted fishing line. Her simple, bright presence was a tiny, insistent light chipping away at the thick ice encasing Kelan's heart, a quiet persistence that refused to be ignored or turned away by his gloom. One rain-dappled afternoon, Lyra finally pointed to the corner. Mr. Kelan, she asked, her voice soft but clear, why is your special stick sad? Her innocent words struck him like a physical blow. He found himself, for the first time, lifting the broken Trident, its familiar weight now lopsided and strange. He showed her the jagged break, the splintered wood pale against the aged gray it broke. Little one, he rasped, the words thick in his throat. In the big storm it can't be fixed. Lyra tilted her head, studying the fracture with the intense focus of a child examining a seashell. My dolly's arm broke once, she declared matter-of-factly. Papa glued at its wobbly now, but she still hugs good. Her simple logic, devoid of despair, planted a fragile seed in Kelan's barren spirit, driven by a flicker of something he hadn't felt in months. Perhaps just the desire to quiet the child's questioning eyes, perhaps a sliver of curiosity. Kelan rummaged through his dusty workshop. He found coarse twine, strong fish glue, and scraps of supple leather. Lyra watched, utterly absorbed, as his old hands, trembling slightly at first, began the careful work. He painstakingly cleaned the fracture, applied the pungent glue, and bound the splintered wood back together with the thick twine, layer upon layer, creating a complex, knotted brace. Finally, He wrapped the entire join tightly in the soft leather. Stitching it firmly, it was a crude repair, the bound section thick and awkward. A stark contrast to the Trident's former elegant symmetry. It would never be the same, never perfectly balanced again. Weeks later, under a sky washed clean and sparkling, Kelan stood at the edge of the gentle harbor, Lyra bouncing excitedly beside him. He held the mended trident, its leather-bound joint rough beneath his palm, its weight unfamiliar and uneven. He lowered it hesitantly into the calm water. It felt clumsy, resistant, but as he moved it slowly, feeling the waters push against the bound wood, something shifted. Not perfection, not the old grace, but a new kind of solidity. It held, it guided. Lyra beamed. "See? It hugs the water good," she exclaimed. Kelan looked from the child's radiant face to the imperfectly mended wood in his hands. A deep, quiet warmth spread through him, melting the last shards of icy despair. The Trident's broken point hadn't ended his story. It had forged a new chapter, teaching him that true strength wasn't found in flawless perfection, but in the courage to mend what was broken, however imperfectly, and find a different way to stand firm against the tide, guided by unexpected hands and a mended heart.